Stampers, I have another video tutorial for you. This one we made last Stamp Club, and it is a Father's Day theme. So I'm going to show you... No, we'll go into the technique first and I'll show you the samples afterwards. I don't want to give anything away. So the technique I found, it was Melissa Bainbury, porchswingcreations.com, and she had this little tent template that we're going to make as a little treat box. So you can go on to the porchswingcreations.com, and I'll put the links in the blog post and whatnot, and you can find the tutorial that you can print off. And what I did with this, once I had this printed off, I took a piece of just backing, some of the cardboard backing that we get with some of our papers or packages I hang on to. So I glued it on there and I cut it out so that I had a very firm template to be able to use. So then I use this every time I want to trace it onto my cardstock. So I took a piece of crumb cake cardstock and I traced the template on there. Using a pencil, and then I used a ruler to put all of the score lines on and the tent flap lines and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm going to do the technique on this first, and then I will be able to show you how to finish off the tent flap. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our inks. We've got crushed curry, soft suede, chocolate chip, and we've got old olive. And I'm going to start stamping. We're going to be using Lovely as a Tree. And what we're going to be using out of Lovely as a Tree are the leaves, the pine, and then these two little leaf stamps as well. The two bigger ones we're going to leave in. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start sponging all over our cardstock. So we're going to start with the soft suede ink. And we're going to sponge all over. Go lighter first. You can always add more on if you need to, but you can't take it away. So we've got some soft suede on there. And then we're going to sponge with our chocolate chip. And then we're going to go with our old olive. And the technique we're trying to do today is like a camo technique, which I think is pretty darn cool. And you could do this with various shades of pink as well. Use some of the crumb cake and the soft suede, but then add some of the shades of pink in so that you can make a more female version of a camo if you want. That seems to be pretty hot as well. So we've got all of our sponging done, so we can put those out of the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our Lovely as a Tree stamps, and we're going to be stamping. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp with these leaves, and I'm going to stamp in the crushed curry first. And I'm just randomly putting the leaves wherever my heart desires. I'm going to clean these in between, so there might be a little bit of silence while I go over to clean. I'm going to use my little leaves. I just found it a little faster to do them both at the same time. You don't have to. And then I'm going to use the pine, but I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use the tip of it. Hard to see now, but you can kind of see the leaves coming out there. You'll see that in a second when I start stamping with another color. So we're done with our crushed curry. We only sponged with our soft suede, so now we're going to move on to our chocolate chip. And we're going to do the same stamps. There we go. And we're going to do our pine tree as well. There we go. And we're done with our chocolate chip. So we're going to do our old olive last. You can really see the camo starting to come together now. And you can see where any holes are as you continue to stamp as to where you want to put some of the leaves. Fill in as you go. There we go. And now to add the finishing touches on there, we're going to take one of our early espresso markers, and I'm just going to draw some branches on there randomly. Just to give that a little bit more of that camo look. And then what I'm going to do once I've done that, you can use either the white gel pen or the chalk marker. And you're just going to go over your branches with a little bit of the white marker. Hopefully you can hear me. I think my guys are home and they're starting to vacuum, so I'm sure you can hear that in the background. So I'm going to see if I can talk a little louder and hopefully it'll drown it out. So we've got our Camo Technique. We did all of our sponging, all of our stamping, and then we drew our branches on. And there you go. There's the finished look. Now what I want to do is I want to fold all of my lines. So we've got our flaps and we've got our creases for the bottom of the tent. Oh, so what I did want to mention that I did was once I had this cut out, just with my stylus, I went over all of these creases so that I'd be able to fold them a little easier. You don't necessarily need the score pal. You can just, or the simply scored, you can just do it eyeballing everything. Just on either use your entire sheet of grid paper as a little bit of a pad, or you can just do it on just one sheet. It still works either way. There we go. And the last thing I need to do are take my scissors, and right in here I've got my line that I cut out. I wanted to stamp just to make sure. I wanted to stamp first just to make sure I get even lines, but I've got my template lines cut out for my tent flaps. And I don't want to go too far to the edge because I don't want them to rip open. There we go. So I've got all this folded, and then all of these little flaps that you've got, you're going to put sticky strip on, and then you're going to adhere them. So I'm just going to use snail just for the purpose of the video, but this is a treat box and you definitely want to be using something a little bit firmer like fuse or sticky strip or tear and tape or whatever it is that you've got. So the first thing you want to do is bring your flaps together for your sides. So these two side flaps, you're going to bring those together, fold these down, and then line them up like so. And then you're going to want to put, again, I'm just using snail for now, but you want to use sticky strip or tear and tape. Got my sides there. And then you, oh, go. And then you want to nestle these flaps in underneath. There we go, there we go. Fit right in there. There's the back of my tent. All done. And then we want to do the front flaps as well. Some of the ladies at Stamp Club were having a little bit of difficulty getting their tent flaps to fit. Be very careful when you're tracing and when you're cutting. And some of them found that putting, you know, the front side and then the top and then the back side down and then doing this side helped a little bit more with them putting their tent together. Whatever's going to work, trial and error. I didn't have any problem doing it this way the 3 times that I've done it, or 4 times that I've done it. 2 samples, 1 at club. But if you do find that you're having a problem, then you don't have to follow exactly how I'm doing it. Do it however you can so that you can get it done and that it works. There's no real strict policy to it, just get it done the way you need to. So, and then you can use your bone folder here, curl up your tent flaps a little bit if you wanted to, or you can leave them straight. So there's the camo tent. How cool is that? So I've got a couple other ones here that I did at Stamp Club. This one isn't as dark as the one that I did for the video. But then what I did is I went and got some chocolates, some sports chocolates, some hockey pucks, and they're not, there we go, some hockey pucks and some footballs, baseballs, that sort of thing, some little chocolates to put in there. So there's the tent, and here are some samples of the cards that I made. And what I did was I took half a piece of crumb cake, cut it in half, did the technique on it. Oh, I didn't do the branches on this guy. Did the technique, the stamping technique to make it camo. And then I decorated it with some washi tape and some ribbon, and I just cut those papers to fit, no real dimensions to them. I just stamped the world's greatest dad and then cut the papers to fit accordingly. So there you have it, the Camo Technique. And I'm going to put some links on my blog and the YouTube, where you can find the Melissa Bainbury template to make your tent. And now you know how to make the camo to go along with it. Change up the colors as you want to make it a little bit more feminine, or to include a favorite color of the person that you're gifting, and you have a cute little treat for Father's Day or any occasion if you decide to do some different colors or some different greetings. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Happy camo stamping!